Cool, so could you introduce yourself?
Sorry. Oh yeah, you're rolling.
Are we rolling?
My name's Leon Lopez. I am the director and one of the producers of Their Story, Your Choice. Their Story, Your Choice is a fully interactive series of films where the viewer gets to decide what happens next. There are 4 films in the series and each film has up to 8 different endings depending on what choice the viewer makes. I was approached by Terrence Higgins Trust to create a project, an interactive project that dealt with stigma within Black and South Asian communities, and I run Brown Boy Productions, so I got in touch with John Pickard, who's a producer and writer friend of mine, Ashley Campbell, who's another producer and writer friend, and another writer, Corey Raymond, and then we came up with the first 3 stories together.
My name's John Pickard. I was one of the writers and producers on Their Story, Your Choice for the Terrence Higgins Trust with Public Health England. We did a lot of peer-to-peer or case studies with people in the community who have been living with HIV or have recently contracted it, but also in the demographic where we was dealing in with Black Asian communities. It was very important that we got to hear their voices, and I think from that we was able to kind of narrow it down and create these 3 or 4 strands of really amazing stories.
I'm Ashley Campbell and I'm a writer and producer on Their Story, Your Choice, and I've been with the project from the very beginning. I thought I knew a lot more about HIV treatment than I did, and just to know that now, hearing from people when they were on so much medication a day to now that they're down to 1 tablet a day in some cases, and PrEP and PEP, hearing about that, obviously it was really important for us as writers and producers to be completely up to date, and I'm sure some of the other writers won't mind me saying, we did actually have to be each other's sort of police in terms of making sure that we got everything completely correct in terms of what we were telling the audience.
The interactive idea was actually something that was brought up by Taku from Terrence Higgins Trust. There was a lot of theatre groups who did something similar where they'd start off with a scene and then the audience get to pick which way the character should go. And I must say this was before Netflix did it. Greg Owen, who also works for Terrence Higgins Trust, approached me because he knew that I was a filmmaker, put me in touch with Taku. Taku told me what he wanted to do. And I remember the very first time I went in there, I started spouting an idea of what they should do, of like these 2 guys, because most of the work I do is LGBT based. And then at the end of it, I'd done a 5-minute spiel, and then he was like, oh, but this is for straight people. And Greg said it's the only time he's ever heard me be silent.
We had a writer's room where we came together and talked about different scenarios that we'd heard in the focus groups of people telling us. And Mary and Thomas, that was really extraordinary because people in relationships can not tell you about their status because of treatment, not being able to pass it on even if you are HIV positive.
We've been together for 2 years. How can you guarantee that?
Well, Mary's been a patient of mine for 8 years. I've got all her medical records.
She must have given it to me.
And we thought, well, actually, wouldn't it be interesting if they were both HIV positive and both keeping it a secret? One on medication, one not on medication. And with Thomas, what he went through just from not going to get checked, the end result was so devastating, and all because he was scared and through fear.
I mean, we was very lucky because we have a great team, and we was able to reach out to our amazing network of actors that we either worked with over the years, bringing in Akiya, who was a great friend of Ashley's, and obviously Patrick, who's been around for years, but we've all worked with in some capacity. I think that was great because we had limited amount of time to get a lot of content in the camera and shot.
My name is Akiya Henry. I was in the segment which was about a couple called Mary and Thomas. I played Mary, and her husband Thomas has been off work sick for a little while, and now she's getting really concerned.
Go to the doctors. You only get so many sick days, Thomas.
And waste their time as well as my own.
If you get the sack, you won't be able to afford the sports channel, never mind watch it.
It's been 2 weeks.
Last month, we couldn't celebrate our 2-year anniversary because of the flu.
I apologise for
And
that.
the month before that, it was something else. Is there something going on at work?
When you're ill, you're ill.
I mean it, Thomas. You need to get that sorted.
I know.
One of the things that really helped me with exploring these characters was about the transparency and how enabling your partner to feel more comfortable about their own what's going on for themselves is actually you have to own your truth too. So like for instance, Mary at one point with Thomas, she realizes that she has to do in order to support and help her husband is to be completely transparent about her HIV status.
I can explain.
So can I.
What's that?
It's my HIV medication. Thomas, it's all going to be fine.
Fine, what? You gave this to me.
Thomas, that's impossible.
For how long?
I've been undetectable for 7 years.
We've only been going out for 2. I've never cheated.
It's impossible for me to pass it on.
Lies.
Undetectable means I can't pass it on.
Lies. I better get out of here before I do some damage.
Thomas, wait!
Get off me.
If you don't believe me then, come see my doctor.
Your doctor? You've been lying to me for years. Why should I believe anything you say?
Because my doctor has all of my files which will show all of my history. Please, please! Please. We're better than this. Just come see my doctor.
So the biggest issue that we had when we came to the peer review group was making sure that everybody felt comfortable. Because a lot of these people who came forward, yeah, they're open about the HIV status within a confined space, but some of them didn't want everybody to know. So we recorded a lot of the sessions and then we deleted them at the end after we'd written everything. But the main thing we wanted to focus on was making sure that these stories told real life stories that were affecting people in real life. But we just wanted everyone to feel totally safe and secure. And then the second story, which was the Josh and Simone story, we wanted to tell a story about how young professionals in daily lives come out as being HIV positive and the stigma around that. And we had the main character, Josh, who was a professional guy who was interested in one of the girls at work.
Hello? Yeah. Yeah, it's going great. She wants to come back to mine. Yeah, I want her to. I don't know if I'm ready, or if she is. Look, I'm sick of having to go through this every time I like a girl. When is the right time to tell someone you're HIV positive?
My name is Atoya. The character I played is Josh. I got drawn to the seriousness of the matter because I knew about HIV beforehand. Obviously, Josh wants to find happiness with this girl that he's interested in. And she feels the same way, but you know, he's HIV positive. I liked that he was able to have options to say, I am HIV positive, and this is what this means. And also to kind of have the option to not say it and see the repercussions of that. And there was one particular scene and the build-up. There was a build-up of like, tell me, no, tell me. It was kind of like a build-up, and the words. It was just the unspoken words that I thought was really powerful.
I'm sorry, I just need to tell.
Oh, you're weird.
No, please, it's not you.
Oh wow, the old "it's not you, it's me" routine. You really know how to make a girl feel good. What? It's a chase over?
No, it's nothing like that.
Then what? You've really made me feel like shit.
No, please, let me explain.
You've been on it for 4 weeks. What is it with guys like you? Is it the chase? What? What has been going on this whole time? Find some other mug to boost your ego.
Simone, wait!
What? What is it? What is going on, Josh?
That scene really stood out for me. In fact, that's the scene that actually still stays with me because there was a genuine respect for people that are HIV positive. It takes courage, for one. It takes courage to say you're HIV positive. And it even takes even more courage to be accepting of it. And that scene for me was that. He said that he was, and he was unashamed about it.
I think Della and Otis is my favourite story, and you shouldn't have favourites because all of our actors are amazing.
You do nothing but put me down. When your mum turned on me, you just stand there, silent.
You wanted to tell her?
With your support.
Yeah, but it's done now.
I can't believe I was gonna sacrifice my whole life for this.
What do you mean by that? What other man do you know will take you on?
Why does it always have to be about a man?
I'm a good man, Della. You can do 1,000,000 times worse than me. Not to mention the fact I'm putting up with your HIV status.
I'm sick of that phrase. I don't need someone to put up with me or my HIV. I deserve someone who loves me, no matter what.
Of course I love you, Della.
It was how you can be bullied and manipulated, and your status, your HIV status, can be used as a weapon against you. And Della, who was played by Ashley, she just gave such a heartbreaking performance that we were all so moved by.
My name's Ashley May Skobekrix. My character is Della, and she is a character who was born with HIV. She's a uni student, just finishing uni, but wants to go and do her master's. But she's dealing with the obstacle of her boyfriend, who doesn't want her to go, wants her to stay at home with him, have a baby, as well as she has a mission to educate others about HIV, and she wants to try and eradicate that stigma that comes with it.
HIV and the whole Undetectable Means Untransmittable awareness campaign has been a major success on campus.
More people knowing that we can't pass on the virus when we're on effective medication really helps in tackling the stigma we face.
I didn't know anything about HIV before starting this, and now I know more. I wouldn't say I know loads, but I know more. But I've seen the project on social media, and it is educating people, and people are having opinions about it. I didn't even realise that you could be born with HIV. With Della's story, there's one moment where she tells Otis's mum that she was born with HIV.
You're ashamed of me, aren't you?
What on earth is going on here?
I'm sorry, Carol. I've wanted to tell you for some time.
Don't.
Go on.
I'm HIV positive.
And she didn't expect that. And I think a lot of people don't expect that you can be born with it. That automatically just changes the way that Otis's mum sees Della. She's like, okay, well, you were born with it. Why are you dealing with all this heat that comes with it?
HIV positive, Della?
Yes. But I have never put your son at risk. I've been on medication since I was a kid and been undetectable for many years.
Undetectable?
When a person is undetectable, they can't pass the virus on.
I've been openly gay for most of my life, now more than half of my life. And one thing, very early on in my sexual explorations, putting my sexual health in the hands of other people. Because of that, I had to go on PEP at one point, and that opened up a new world to me, as in, oh wow, you could potentially sleep with somebody who's HIV positive, not undetectable, and you can still there's still a treatment that you can take that can stop you from getting HIV. That was something I was never aware of. It was things that I was never taught, and if there was an outlet like Their Story, Your Choice that I could have seen, maybe I wouldn't have been in that situation in the first place.
The writing process for Kwame and Nabil was, again, it was a real collaborative effort. We would sit down and really get underneath what's going on for these characters. I think this one really is a massive struggle in terms of, Kwame in particular, because he really wants to have a family. His wife's pregnant, but his urges and where his heart is, his sexuality, he wants to sleep with men, and you love him still as well. This is the other thing, because you can really feel that why can't he have both? What's stopping that? And I think it's the transparency and the honesty he's struggling with all the time.
This was quite important to me because as a gay man myself and as a person of colour, there's a lot of stigma around being gay, for one, as a black person. There's a lot of stigma around sexual health. Also, there's a lack of education towards sexual health. So it was really important to make sure that this story could be as educational but also as entertaining as possible, so that people wanted to watch it, so we could kind of update an audience that probably wouldn't go out and look after your sexual health. The down low gay male who wants to have a perceived normal life but also likes sleeping with men on the side, so maybe they don't identify as being gay.
You know the drill, family pressures and all that. We're both the same in that way.
No, I'm not gay.
Look, who cares? Let's leave all that chat, come to the bedroom. I want to get my hands on that arse of yours.
Whoa.
No one goes near my ass. Then how else am I gonna fuck you? What? I don't get fucked. You just assume that I do, yeah?
Of course. I've been with lots of guys like you.
Oh wow, I'm just a passive Asian guy.
You calling me racist?
I'm versatile. You got a condom?
I don't usually do condoms.
Well, if you wanna fuck me, you're gonna have to today. My name is Shailen and I play Nabil. He is a young South Asian man and he has a wife and a child and he's sleeping with men on the side. And this is when he meets Kwame.
My name is Jay Marsh and I play Kwame in their story, Your Choice. Kwame has a family with Lakeisha and he's dealing with a major conflict of his sexuality.
Babe, what took you so long?
It's packed in there. Let's go.
I literally have 10 minutes to get her to school. I'm late for work at the clinic. Hello?
I'll take her. My night shift.
No, I need to speak to her teacher about the school trip.
And I can do that. She's my daughter too.
Where they go? Exactly, that's why I deal with these things.
I'm Abiona. I play Lakeisha and I am Kwame's girlfriend. Lakeisha, she's in a relationship with Kwame and Kwame is having a secret love affair. She has suspicions about it and she kind of knows parts of it but doesn't really ask, whether it's through fear or whether it's through just not wanting to acknowledge it. She does things to protect herself. So she has a sexual health test and she puts herself on PrEP to protect herself and look after herself.
What's that?
PrEP. Pill that stops you getting HIV. Been on it for over 6 months now.
What?
You haven't passed it on to me. You must have contracted it recently because I was tested when I got pregnant. You've given me chlamydia, not HIV.
It was interesting reading the script, how many different avenues you can go down. When you bottle things up a lot of the time, then things can seriously get quite bad very quickly. But there's always a way out. And I think the more honest he is with himself and with those around him, being honest with his loved ones, in this case his wife, things can definitely be avoided. This is about us being who we really are without having to go on living a lie. I've been doing that my whole life.
Sometimes we have to make sacrifices, Nabil.
And you're willing to sacrifice your happiness.
I'm willing to do whatever it takes for the sake of our family.
I'm willing to do whatever it takes for the sake of what's right. As time goes on in his story, because of kind of the lies and some of the truths that he withholds from his loved ones, things may get complicated depending on which choices you make in the film.
Kwame's life, being someone from a household, a family that are pretty strict. He has a father who's always been pretty harsh on him.
You need to man up. His 4 sisters are tougher than him. Always been a little lightweight.
You got pushed around by Mum.
True. She wore the trousers, but I bought them. She was blessed in the kitchen and the bedroom, so you be quiet.
Dad.
What is the matter with you? When are you going to give me a grandson?
So he's kind of trying to navigate the world, trying to live his truth whilst dealing with the pressures of being a family man and where he comes from in terms of his background.
I'm sorry. It must be horrible. Wouldn't it be nice if we could live our lives more honest, more upfront? All this double living, pretending. Maybe this would have stopped this happening to us.
There is no us! And you eat my meat!
You never see HIV portrayed in straight stories, ever. Like, I can't think of a time that I have seen that. So their story, Your Choice, is really important because it's portraying females, the female experience when it comes to HIV, which is just never portrayed in the media. And that's how we get most of our messages and how we learn.
I think I was educated massively on this process. I grew up in a time as well in the 80s where I was bombarded with these advertisements for AIDS, which was very much hard-hitting, negative kind of soul destroying, no hope.
I think there's a stigma around certain communities when it comes to HIV, mainly because people still think HIV is a gay disease.
HIV doesn't just affect bisexuals or homosexuals, it also affects straight people. That sounds surprising, but for some reason I just didn't compute that it affected straight people as well.
People with HIV are either gay or from Africa, as far as the media is concerned. When HIV affects everybody from every walk of life, it doesn't discriminate, but we're never taught that.
My knowledge in relation to HIV and AIDS has always come from a very white perspective. And so what was really great for me when I got these scripts was going, oh my gosh, all of a sudden we're exploring this world from a black perspective, which I had never been exposed to, and that really, really excited me.
I love firstly that it was a black family, and it's such a normal, and it's just super normalised to have, you know, them watching TV and eating, and also having these issues that are like so rife in our communities, and that they're super stigmatised and not spoken about. And I felt for each of the characters like stories, and so I think, you know, like you're reading a good story when you're connected to their, you know, their pain.
I wasn't aware that there was stigma towards HIV in the black community, but then again, I'm not so surprised that there is, just because I know, like, when it comes to, I guess, like sexual health, there isn't really much conversation about it in the black community.
I know many people who are dealing with issues in terms of their sexuality, wanting to live their truth, yet also dealing with the peer pressure and family pressures and you know, social pressures. And I think as much as this entertains incredibly, I also think it can educate a lot of people, and I really hope that people who are watching this, you find themselves in a situation or know someone who find themselves in a situation like Kwame, just try and make better choices.
The way that I approach, the way that I date now, you know, and not being afraid to have a very honest conversation about sexual health from the get-go. When I'm meeting, you know, men, and I'm hoping that we can have like a really transparent, honest conversation about sexual health from the get-go. And if a man kind of approaches me and feels a little bit uncomfortable about it, that's a red flag for me now.
Nabil, being a South Asian man, he has a wife, a very traditional marriage and a child. And I think for his character, he struggles to come to terms with the fact that he's gay, and he can't have that conversation in the home. And I feel like that stems from that South Asian traditional mentality. That's damaging in the fact that he can't express the fact that he's got HIV and the fact that he's gay, so then it leads him to sort of struggle on his own.
Growing up, you see someone who's a positive influence, it just changes the way that you see yourself. And just even seeing Della, I was like, oh wow, she's a leader, she's inspiring, she's strong, she deals with a lot more than I think I could deal with. If I had that like representation when I was younger, I think I would be a lot stronger now.
I heard something today actually about living your truth, and it said you should always tell the truth, because the truth is easier to remember than a lie. And it's a very simple thing, that is true. And I think Kwame goes through this whole journey of lying to himself, lying to Lakeisha, lying to his father, lying to Nabil, and it never kind of dawns on him the importance of just telling the truth.
I think the more we have conversations about these things, we can normalise having a discussion about sexual health. We talk about health in every other way so openly, and everyone's on hand to help people. But as soon as it comes to sexual health, I think people sort of shy away from it, and they kind of don't want to know, and they kind of brush things under the carpet. But we know that everyone's having sex, so why can't we have discussions about sexual health without judging people?
Their Story, Your Choice made me think differently, because when we were filming it, I didn't know my own status. I just come out of a relationship, I was dating, and it really got me thinking, almost like my character, I was almost a bit worried about it. And I certainly need to know my status before being intimate with any partner. I looked online I didn't realize that you can order a sexual health testing kit. So I ordered it, it came to me. I was a lot more relieved that I could order it online rather than being in a sexual health clinic, because I think sometimes it can be quite intimidating, quite daunting, looking at everyone and feeling like you're being judged. But I was really glad that I made that decision. And I don't think, had I not been part of Their Story, Your Choice, I would have made that my first priority.
As a person who's often through the years been quite terrified of HIV, and what's been so brilliant about this is you are now so aware that it is not what it was. People are really living and thriving being HIV positive. Yeah, maybe when my child's older, there may not be HIV, and isn't it brilliant that Their Story, Your Choice could have helped towards the outcome?
I think it's really important in terms of helping Black communities to really understand that there is nothing to be afraid of in relation to HIV and AIDS. There's nothing to be afraid of in relation to wanting to explore healthy, positive sexual health relationships. But what this did for me was go, actually, there's lots of different avenues that you can take, and each avenue that you decide to take is always going to be slightly scary and slightly daunting, but actually, once you really face it, anything is possible.
Deep down, someone like Kwame, and I think a lot of people who find themselves in Kwame's situation, they don't want to hurt anyone, but they're just trying to make the right decision, and unfortunately sometimes we make the wrong decision and it damages others. So I hope people can watch this and just take a step back and think, you know, how is this choice going to change the rest of my life or change the life of the people I love?